Liberty, I'll be your instructor. This is my first time teaching at WASA, so if any of you are, if this is your first class too, I know how you feel, so I'm learning how online education works, and I'm really excited to be a teacher with WASA and to guide you through the next 9 weeks of PLAR English. So as I mentioned, my name is Mike, and I wanted to just, before we get started, just so you know who you're working with, I wanted to just go through a few things, give ourselves a formal introduction. So you can find me on Facebook. You can find a lot of your WASA teachers on Facebook. You'll find me right there if you search Laverty at WASA. I've got 4 friends. Hopefully I got a few more by the time the school year is over. I've got my dog Snowy right here in my my profile pic. That's my boy. This is Bailey. This is not going to be on the test, and this is Rowan. So I love dogs, love spending time outside. I'm a musician. I love playing guitar. I have 2 boys, both 12 and 9, and I love playing hockey. So those are my interests. I'd love to hear about your interests. If you feel like sharing, that'd be awesome. If not, that's great too, but I'll try to draw upon my life experiences throughout the course, let you know what I've been through, and hopefully teach you a few things along the way. Yeah, so this is my website that I have set up. So I've written a few things in my life. I've taught many things, everything from kindergarten all the way to high school. And I love to take pictures. This is one of my favorite photographs here, this driftwood horse I found out in someone's house. And let's see. There's a picture of me right there. Just a guy living in a small town surrounded by a big forest. So that's what I look like. You can't see me right now, but I thought I'd do the next best thing, and you can see my face right there. So we will jump right into everything. I am just getting the hang of this. Okay, so here we are. It's week 1. We're just getting started. This is the first week of classes in term 1A. There are 4 terms plus a summer term. So this is the first term. This will take us through September and October, term 1A. So some of you this might be your only class. Some of you may be taking more than one class. And there's multiple ways you can participate in these lectures. So you can listen in on the radio. We have a Zoom call that's happening right now. You can call in those numbers to participate on the radio. We have 2 classes a week. So we have Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 6 o'clock till 7 o'clock. You can participate using Zoom. I will post the Zoom links on the on my Facebook page, and the link is also provided if you go to this address right there, nec-on-ca.zoom.us. And all PLAR English students are welcome to attend the classes. You don't have to be signed up for the radio classes. I do plan on uploading these lectures to a YouTube channel. I'll show you that in a second. So the lectures will be uploaded to YouTube, and you can watch those whenever suits you best. You know, I'd love to hear some questions online, get some participation during the lectures. But if the only way you can access it is through the YouTube or through the other means, that's great. Here at WASA, we like to give you multiple ways to access the content, so whatever works best for you. So each lesson is self-contained, and that means that there's no textbook. Everything you need is in that course material. And then my job tonight and throughout the rest of the lectures will be to go through that course content, and we're going to be looking at these support questions. They'll demonstrate how to answer the questions, and so the support questions are what we'll do together, and these key questions are what you will do on your own, and you'll submit those for marking. So I'd like you to start working on the key questions right away and then submit them as you finish them. So ideally, you should probably listen to the lecture, review the course material, and then submit them once you feel you've got a handle on the situation. So there's multiple ways you can submit your work. You are giving that directly to your DEC to scan and email or fax, and it'll come my way. You can scan and email the work and send it to this email address right here, or fax it to yourself if possible. You can take photos with your phone, email it, or send it on Facebook Messenger. I use the Adobe Scan app. You can get a free one, and they have a pro version, but there's a free version of Adobe Scan, and it allows you to take photographs of pretty much anything, but especially documents, and then turn those into PDFs or JPEGs or whatever you want, and then send them to your teacher. So yeah, you can use your phone, scan it, you can email it, send it on Messenger, just find a way to get it to us. Now, yeah, so not all of your teachers are uploading content to YouTube, but I will be one of them. Now, actually, we could probably have a brief look at that channel right now. Let's see, where are we? Okay, so this is my YouTube channel, so you'll find me here at Liberty Wassa. That's the same as my Facebook account as well. So I have no subscribers, I have no videos, I have no playlists, so right now it's a very sad looking YouTube channel, but by the end of this term it's going to be very lively with all of the videos. I will organize them into playlists, so you'll see all of our English lessons will be under playlists. So after the lecture is done, I will then upload content to this YouTube channel. So all you have to do is search YouTube for this, for Liberty Wassa. Just plug that into this, Laverty, Wassa. If you search for YouTube, you'll pull up my channel, and in the coming weeks we'll have all of the content right here in one spot for you to look at. So that might be the most convenient way for a lot of people. I know that's probably what I would prefer as a student. I remember when YouTube became a thing back in 2004, and it quickly became my favorite website of all time. So it's a very useful platform, and all of the PLAR lectures will be uploaded here as they're done, as I complete them, as I share them with you. Okay. And so I'd like to provide an overview of the course. Of course, you can do this on your own time, but it's helpful for me to go through this. As I mentioned at the start, this is my first time doing this, so I'm learning a lot of stuff along with you. So please bear with me as I kind of learn the system, as I imagine a lot of you are too. Now here's some really important information. There's my name. This is how to access it, how to call into the studio, how to listen to it on the radio, 91.9 FM. You can listen on TV, or if you have Bell ExpressVu, channel 972. There is an online radio station. I have provided a Zoom link. And then below we just have some various ways of getting in touch. So that you can phone the office directly, you can fax, you can email me directly. So please do. I love getting emails, so please email me right there, or find me on Facebook if you prefer Messenger. So you can add me as a friend on Facebook at Liberty Wassa, and then we can message each other. So whatever works best for you. I like Messenger, I like email, I like phone calls. So the important thing is, though, is that you reach out to me and you reach out to your other teachers and you make contact with the office and you get the process going and you ask, any questions you have. I remember when I was a student attending the University of Manitoba for the first time. And it was actually an evening course. It probably would have been around 6 o'clock at night. And I couldn't find the room I was supposed to go to. And I was way too shy to ask anybody for help, and ended up missing my very first lecture because I was just too shy and too embarrassed because I couldn't even figure out what room I was in. So always ask questions. People are here to help. Just reach out. That's what we're here for. You know, you can find me in the office on Mondays. I'll be here from 9 o'clock till 3 p.m. So if you phone the Wausau office in Sioux Lookout, I'll be at my desk from 9 to 3. And unless I popped out for a quick coffee or a quick coffee break or check the mail, I'll be at my desk. So that's where I'm at Mondays, 9 to 3. Tuesday, Wednesday, I am, of course, teaching this course. But that being said, you can reach me at 10 to 2 on those days. And then Thursday and Fridays, you can also find me in the office at 9 to 3. So these are my office hours right here. So if you're in Sioux Lookout and you want to pop into the office, or if you want to phone me and get me on the phone and talk to me directly, those are the times to do it. And if that doesn't work for you, then we have these options, right? You can email me, Facebook. So lots of ways to get in touch, and I'll be reaching out to you as the weeks go by. But the important thing is that you reach out to someone with any questions you have, and that's our job as instructors. We are here to help you. Okay, now I have somehow glued that on there. Let's see. Well, okay. This is interesting. Okay, we're just going to shove these bad boys over here because they are just going to get in my way. I need to learn how to work this smartboard a little better. So in life, I think you're always a student. You're always learning. So even though I'm teaching this right now, you're always learning something. So I'm just going to move those things over there for now so they don't get in our way. Okay, so we are all taking PLAR, and PLAR is an acronym right there, and it stands for Prior Learning Assessment and Recognition. And basically, you know, what that means is that we're recognizing things you've done in your life, usually, you know, work experience, other courses you've taken. I mentioned that I was a student at the University of Manitoba, and when I applied to that program, my grades coming out of high school weren't good enough for the program that I wanted to attend, and they accepted me as a mature student. I think I was about 23 or 24 when I started to go to school after high school, and that was the only way I could attend, is they took in my prior experiences working. I worked a lot of fast food jobs, worked a lot of factory jobs, and that's how I got into my program. Otherwise, I would have had to take in a lot of other courses. So welcome to the course. There will be 5 lessons that cover the majority of the English expectations for grade 9 and grade 12. And as we mentioned, everything is composed in your course materials. The course is divided into 5 units. Tonight I'm going to go into Unit 1. So you've got 5 lessons or 5 units, and you do not require a textbook, which is fantastic. Everything is in the material. I'll be directing you to sources outside the textbook, but as much as possible, we try to stay within the textbook and try to get our material from there. Okay, so I don't know how I did this. I'm going to stop using this pen until I figure that out. So in each lesson, there are support questions and there are key questions. Now, very important, the key questions, this is what you do. This is what you do on your own. That's for marks, right? So the key questions are very important. We'll go over them in detail tonight. And the support questions are what, we do this together. See if I have enough room here. Yeah, so we will do these ones together, and you will do the key questions on your own and submit those. So you do not submit the support questions, but you definitely submit your key questions. And there we go. Okay, so at the end of each week, so we have our classes tonight and tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. Make sure that you send all the work that you have completed. So if you send me your work, then I will get back to you ahead of time. And through these lessons, we're trying to develop the skills necessary to improve your English grammar and your writing ability. So as we get through the course, I will be able to give you some feedback on your writing, which is what I find the most enjoyable part of the job. And so I'll be giving you feedback on your assignments, and hopefully you'll be kind of learning as you go along. So submitting your key questions, getting your marks back, and then hopefully through that give and take, you can just slowly start to improve your skills. And you must complete the required key questions to be able to write the test at the end of the course, right? So you have to have those key questions in, otherwise you will not be able to write the test at the end of this course. And it is very important that I have a contact number, email, or you can reach out to me through Facebook. So I just need one reliable way of getting in touch with you. And I'm hoping you can reach out to me as soon as you have your materials. So very important that you reach out to me and let me know that you have that material. There's going to be 2 live 1-hour classes every week. And so that's September through October, every Tuesday, Wednesday. We will meet from 6 till 7. And as I mentioned earlier, if you can't make that live session, then you can watch on YouTube or through the other means, the Zoom archives. So we encourage you to call in and participate in the broadcast, but if you can't, then as I mentioned, we have all kinds of other ways you can get in touch and review the material. This is our tentative class schedule. We're going to be going through language, and by language, we're talking about the English language, and we are talking about the fundamentals of the English language. Once we've got the fundamentals under our belt, we're going to be going into reading comprehension, practical writing, and by practical we mean writing that you can use in the real world, writing that you can use to get a job, apply for a program, do the things that you want to do in life. Writing can unlock a lot of doors for you. If you can write professionally and communicate with people and show them that you know what you're talking about and you're a person with a vision and ideas, it can get you to a lot of things in life. Or it can just be something you do for fun, like myself. So practical writing, summarizing, and descriptive writing. And then we'll review, and then hopefully we will all be ready to write the test at the end. So here's 5 things that you can do to help yourself stay organized. So you can read through the study guide. You can contact your teacher as soon as you start the course. That's myself. You can make a plan. So what do you want to do? Can you attend class regularly? Can you view the class recordings regularly? How are you going to make that happen? When I was a student, I quickly learned that I had a hard time with morning classes. I just simply couldn't get up on time. I would just be too lazy. And I loved afternoon, evening classes. That's when my brain really kind of came alive. So what's going to work best for you? Everybody's busy. Everybody's got struggles in their life that makes it hard to do things like school, work, and the things we know we have to do. So you got to sit down and you have to make a plan. Even if it's just one piece of paper or a note on your phone. Just how are you going to do this? How are you going to make it happen? Use the websites listed in the lessons. If we reference a website, if you can, go check it out, see what it's all about, and set your own goals when you could finish each key question. And remember, you can set a goal, and it's okay if you don't make it. You can revise it, but it helps if you set yourself goals and say, I'm going to do this every Friday, or, I find with my life, it helps if I chunk my life up into, I've been the worst at this, not scheduling my life and not having a plan. And you know what they say, like, if you don't make plans, other people will plan for you, right? And life will plan itself around you. So you have to find a way to do this and you have to find a system that works for you and your life and your family. And that's the only way it's going to work. No one can really do it for you. You've got to sit down and say, look, I've only got so many hours in the day. How am I going to make this happen? So here's our first lesson. We're going to be going into the parts of speech, capitalization. So again, the fundamentals of the English language. Going to be spending a lot of time on these first 3 or 4 today: nouns, pronouns, verbs. Right, so I think that's all I'm going to do for now. I want to get into the coursework. So I would like all of you to read through this study guide. Even though I've gone through some of it with you together, I'd like you to go through this study guide on your own time. Read it, make some notes. Again, make your plan and decide how you're going to go ahead and do this. I think one of the most important parts about being a student is time management. You only have so much time, and there's a lot of things that are asking you, that are demanding your time. If you've got kids, or if you've got a relationship, you've got friends, you've got obligations, you've got a lot going on in your life, you've just got to find the time to make it work. Just find, either an hour a night, 2 hours a night, whatever works for you. But speaking from experience, I find that myself, I got in trouble when I didn't make a plan, and I would just be like, oh, whatever, I'll just figure it out. And then guess what? I didn't figure it out, and I would spend my whole night, playing guitar, watching YouTube videos, watching hockey, doing stuff that I love, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't make time for my lessons. But if I forced myself and said, every Thursday night at 6 to 7, I'm going to sit down here and I'm going to work on this course. So I strongly recommend you do that, and to try to schedule your nights, your days, or whatever the case may be, and just try to build a habit. It's like a lot of things, right? If you just build a habit and you start small, it's kind of hard to study for 3 hours every night, but you don't have to, but if you do 5 minutes a day, it's kind of like exercising, right? It's really hard to do it if you haven't done it for a while, but if you do 5 minutes a day, 6 minutes tomorrow, 7 minutes the next day, build the habit, start small, you'll see really good results. So I'd like to jump in to lesson 1, and what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to skip right ahead to the key questions. Yeah, these are distracting me. Get out of here. Okay, so it's important to ask yourself, where am I going? Where are we taking this thing? Why are we doing this? And with PLAR English, this is the answer to that question. You are going to answer key questions from every one of your units, from every one of your lessons. So these are the key questions for lesson 1. 231 marks. So that's 231 answers that you will either give either by circling, writing a word down, and that's how I'm going to mark your paper, okay? So you're going to have a grade, like 185 out of 231, or 200 right out of 231. It's almost like a big test, but it's broken up into key questions. Okay, so key question 1 is asking you to circle 12 nouns. So we're going to go and we're going to talk about what a noun is, right? Whoops. Let's get back there. There we go. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. You are going to answer these questions. So key question 1, circle the 12 nouns. So with all these questions, you can't circle the 12 nouns unless you understand what a noun is. So you need to have a complete understanding of what a noun is before you can answer those questions. Same goes for pronouns. You need to know what a pronoun is before you can look at a sentence and then understand what it is. The great thing about English or any language is you learn a bunch of rules, but once you understand those rules, you can understand millions, billions, trillions of sentences, right? Once you know the rules, then you can understand the sentence, right? Circle the 8 verbs. So again, we need to know what a verb is before we can answer these questions. Key question 3. We need to identify words by their parts of speech. I'm going to go into parts of speech in a second, but we need to know what these things are. Nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, preposition, conjunction, article, interjection. So what are these things? I guarantee that everybody listening to this, you know what all of these things are because you can speak the language and you can have a conversation with someone. We're just putting a name to something that you already know. Now, I often like to make the comparison to music. I'm a musician, I play guitar, but I can't read sheet music. So I can't look at notes on a page and understand what they are. But I know a lot about music because I've played music with people and I've been a musician, I've been in bands, but there's a lot of music that, like a lot of musical theory that I don't know if it's written down in a book, but I could show it to you on guitar. I think the same example goes for English and writing and reading. I think you know a lot of these things, but it just needs to be explained and put in context, okay? So you need to know what all these parts of speech are for you to answer these questions. We need to be able to write complete sentences, so we're going to get into that. So what makes a sentence? What makes a complete sentence? We're going to be looking at capitalization, punctuation. So how do we capitalize words? And we're going to be getting into writing at the end. So you see how we're building up to key question 5. You are looking at the parts of speech. You're looking at punctuation, capitalization, and then you're bringing that all together, and then you're rewriting the sentences. Adding proper punctuation. So this is why we learn English. It's not the only reason, but this is one of the main reasons we take English courses, is so we can look at writing and we can make it better. We can look at our own writing and make it better. We can recognize mistakes in the world that we see in other people's writings. We can make our writing more clear. And, I think you learn by seeing how not to do it. And I read once in a book that babies don't learn how to walk. They learn how to not fall down. And I think English is the same way. We don't really learn how to write. We learn how not to write, right? We experiment, we try different things, but you have to know what the mistakes are so you can recognize them in your own writing and everybody's writing. Everybody makes mistakes. It doesn't matter if you're a published author, if you make $1 million a year on writing, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to write things down, and there's going to be mistakes, and they're going to have to be cleaned up. So nobody writes perfect the first time. Everybody just writes things down, and then they see the mistakes. And in the entertainment industry, they call this punching things up, right? So they take a script and they punch it up. So the first draft is usually kind of just getting your ideas on the page, and as we get through the course, we'll be going into the writing process, but it's a really important way of looking at writing. Don't look at this like you're going to get things perfect every time. Look at it like a process. You're learning how to do something. Like think about riding a bike. No one ever gets it right off the bat. It's a process. Same with guitar, same with being a musician. It takes a lot of trial and error. It takes a lot of trying things out, and that's where I come in. You're going to try things out, and I'm going to give you some feedback along the way, and you're going to become a stronger writer, a more confident reader. You're going to get more confident in your writing and be able to express yourself in ways that you couldn't before. But you can't do that if you're afraid to make mistakes or afraid to put down the wrong answer. So you have to just embrace that process, and you have to be on the lookout for mistakes and things that can be corrected in your own writing. So right, so these are the key questions, and you could always zoom ahead and read these things before you read the course material, just to see what you're up against here. But there we go. I just wanted to show you that this is what it's all about. I want you to answer these key questions. So this is where your marks are going to come from. This is how we evaluate you as a student. This is how you pass the course, is by answering these key questions. And to help you answer those key questions, I'm going to go through the course material with you right now. So I want everybody to be successful this year, and to work their way through this course material. And I want you to know that I think you know a lot of this stuff, and some of you may be writers yourself or actively read a lot of books, and you may be a little stronger than others. But I think everybody taking this course, a lot of this stuff is going to be, you know it, but you just maybe haven't heard it explained in a certain way. I taught a similar course like this in Dryden. It was at Confederation College. And I had a man in his late 40s come up to me after the lecture, and he said, "I'm so glad you explained this to me. I've never heard this in my life before, or no one's explained it to me this way." So, but of course, that 40-year-old man, or 45, however old he was, he knew this stuff, because when him and I would talk after class, he was a very intelligent man. He had a lot to say. He was older than me. He had been through more experiences. I had a lot to learn from him, but he knew this stuff. The way that we learn a language, we learn it by listening to people talk. Humans are, that's how we learn language. We learn by hearing our moms and dads and uncles and cousins and aunts and friends talk. And that's how we learn a language. We don't learn it when we're babies. We learn it by listening. We learn it by hearing. And learning to read comes later, right? So speaking and listening are very natural human activities. Reading and writing are very artificial. They're things that have only been around for, not that long, in comparison to speaking and talking. So I want you to keep that in mind as we go through some of these parts of speech, right? So the first one we have here is the noun. And the noun, of course, is a person, place, or thing. That's the way I was taught. I was taught when I was in grade 2. It's a person, it's a place, it's a thing. So you can't have a language if you don't have words for things, right? So things need words. And this is probably why humans invented language in the first place, right? We wanted to talk to each other. We wanted to communicate with each other. And we wanted to name things. So these are the things in our life. And they're things you can see, you can touch. Examples like house, dog, street, school, teacher, girl. They're things in your lives. There's also abstract nouns. These are things like democracy or anger. These are things that we can't see, but they are things. So they are the things that we talk about. There's proper nouns, and these are things that begin with a capital letter. a house could be any house. A dog could be any dog. But my dog Snowy, I would spell his name capital SNOWY. He's Snowy. He's my dog. It's a specific noun, and I would capitalize his name. And then we have pronouns. So a pronoun is a special kind of noun. It's one of the parts of speech, but it's a special noun, and it takes the place of a noun. So the examples include he, she, I, it. And so usually, like in a sentence, you would say, Mr. Jones went to work, and then Mr. Jones went home. And we're trying to avoid saying Mr. Jones twice. So Mr. Jones went to work, and then he went home. If you were having a conversation with someone, it would seem awkward and weird for you to keep saying Mr. Jones or Mr. Anderson or Mrs. whatever, right? You would usually mention the person's name the first time, like, oh, I saw my sister Tanya on the weekend. Her and I went fishing. That's a true story. That's what we did, right? But so usually you say the person's name, the pronoun, or their proper noun, and then you follow it up with a pronoun. And the pronoun has to match the noun that comes before it. So Mr. Jones becomes he, Mrs. Jones becomes she, my hockey stick becomes it. They have to agree with each other. Adjectives, these are describing words, okay? So these words tell you what kind or how many, what it looked like, what it smelt like, what it felt like. So adjectives are things that we can sense. So that's a good way of looking at adjectives. So things that I can smell, things I can taste, things that I can see, things that I can feel, and things that I can see. So those are things in the world. And adjectives they're describing words, and they're really descriptive words. So if you're a fiction writer, if you're writing stories for people, you want to use a lot of adjectives. You want to let people know what it smelt like, what it felt like, what it was like to be there, right? So these words tell us what something is like. So we have nouns. So we have a dog, right? And what does a dog smell like? What does a dog feel like? What does a dog sound like? What does a dog hopefully not what a dog tastes like. But how do we describe something, right? And we describe things using the senses. So adjectives describe things. They describe nouns. And verbs are action words. There's a song, it's escaping me now the title of it, but the first line in the song, it's by a band called Massive Attack, and love is a doing word, right? So I always love that song lyric. So, verbs are action words. These are describing things that we do. And usually, the noun is the thing that's doing something, right? So, I played hockey. My dog chased after a partridge. I drove to work. You said that. We can sit over here. So the noun or the verb is what is happening in the sentence. So run, jump, drive, sit, say, like, love. These are all verbs. They're all action words. They're doing things. Adverbs. So adverbs and adjectives are very similar, but they have different roles. They do different things in the language. Adjectives describe what nouns are like. Adverbs describe how you do things. So I play guitar. So hopefully I play guitar well. Hopefully I don't play it not so well, or hopefully I don't play it, like an amateur, or you can talk to someone, right? But there's many ways you can talk to someone. You can talk to them aggressively. You can talk to them quietly. You can talk to them softly. You can talk to them kindly. It tells you how you did something. So you can run many ways. You can run gracefully. You can run awkwardly. You can run quickly, which is kind of a it's hard to run slowly, right? But there's many ways you can do an action, right? So how did the action happen? Articles. These are a, an, and the. They're basically words that are sort of like they're not fillers, but they tell us how many or which one. So I saw a hockey stick at the store, but this, I wanted this hockey stick. A and the. These are the main articles. Those are the ones to remember. Conjunctions are words that join words together. And, but, because, therefore. So they combine words or groups of words together. I wanted to be late for class, but I couldn't do that because my dog ran away. So it's the word but combines the two parts of that sentence. The first one, I wanted to go to class early. My dog ran away. The but sort of combines those two. Or, like, I'm taking this course because I want to graduate high school. So the fact that you want to graduate high school and the fact that you're taking a course, those two ideas get combined with the word because. Interjections are words or phrases, usually one word or two, like wow, stop, oh no, never, and they often stand as their own sentences, or that can be like a one word sentence, or like usually like an exclamation mark, so they're showing strong emotion. And prepositions, these are words that show the relationship of a noun or a pronoun to another word. Preposition is probably the hardest one of these concepts to understand. I went to school for about 6-7 years after high school, taking English courses, and I kind of struggled with a preposition, but basically it's showing a relationship, or it's where something is a pretty common one. So beside the bookcase, under my bed, above the shelf, sitting beside my wife, coming in from the cold, going into the hockey rink, so it tells me the relationship of a noun or a pronoun to another word. So I sat beside my wife. So I'm the noun, my wife is another noun, and beside tells you where we are. We're sitting beside each other. Or I found the can of soup I wanted above the top shelf, right? So I'm looking for the can of soup. The word above tells me where I found it, so it's a relationship. It usually describes a location. So like from, in, beside, above, at, to, with, of. So it's either a location or it's a relationship between two things, right? So I was angry with my cousin. That's a preposition, right? So that they show a relationship between two nouns in a sentence. So okay, so just want to bring us back to the top here. Where we go? Yeah. So I'm going to bring us all the way to the front here. Let's go all the way. And we'll do some of these support questions together. So this, again, I wanted to start at the end, and now I'm coming back to the start, but I wanted to show you what the key questions look like, and I wanted to show you what those parts of speech are, because to answer the first batch of questions, you have to understand what those parts of speech are. But now I'm going to circle back, and then we're going to spend the next 15 minutes just going into the chorus and looking at some of these questions. So we're going to be looking at different parts of speech in the language, and you're going to be reviewing your knowledge about how to construct and write complete sentences. So you can't write sentences unless you know the parts of speech. So we make sentences. There's a lot of metaphors and ways of describing what writers do and what speakers of a language do. One that I love is the idea of a remix. So if you're familiar with hip-hop music or music that involves sampling, and a sample is when you take parts of music, you take different songs or a mashup, and you mash them together. That's what we do as speakers of any language, not just English. We take words and we mix them and we remix them, and we take these words and these parts of speech and we make sentences. That's what we do. We take a little bit from here, and the kind of writer you are, the kind of speaker you are, depends on the community you're from. It depends on the family that raised you. It depends on the friends you have. It depends on the TV shows you watch, the music you listen to, right? So we're grabbing words and ideas from all aspects of our lives, and we combine them to make sentences. That's what we do. And we can make amazing sentences, and we can communicate our ideas much better if we start to break down the building blocks of the language. So that is what we're doing here. So we're taking it back to the basics, and I like to do a music comparisons, right? So you can't write a song unless you know how to play the instrument. So you have to learn the basics before you can become a master, right? In a sense, right? So, and I think you are all taking the first steps along that path. So, and if we speak or write words or sentences that are incomplete or that don't make sense, then it's difficult for other people to understand what we're trying to say. And I want to bring it back to what I was talking about, where if you're sitting next to someone and you're having a conversation with them, they can understand what you're saying because they can see your face, they can hear how you emphasize certain words. But when you're just writing the words down, I don't know what your face looks like. I don't know what your tone sounds like. I can't tell if you sound sad. I can't tell if you're happy. I can't tell if you're tired. All I have is your written words. So when you're writing words, you have to be careful that what you're trying to say is what I read, because what I read might not be what you're trying to say. So that's what we mean by writing clearly and writing effectively. If you have a message and you're trying to communicate it, and I read your sentence and I get the message, you've done your job, right? But if you don't know the parts of speech, then it's hard to do that. So how to construct a complete sentence, how to express yourself in a way that won't confuse them. And confusion will set in if you kind of make a few mistakes that we're going to go over in this course, right? So that's what we're trying to avoid is any confusion, right? We want to have the meaning be very clear. And clear, effective writing is usually it uses as little words as possible. You only want to use as many words as you need to get a message across. You don't need to add extra words or use fancy words or words you think make you sound smart, but you just need the right word for the right situation. And the way you speak and the way you write, they're not really that different, but there are some key differences, especially when all I have to go on is your writing, okay? So we went over nouns quite extensively, so I don't want to spend too much more time on this, but again, they are people, they are places, or they are things. They are common things that we see. Now, these common nouns, it could be any apple, mountain, bell, garden. These are things. They're not specific things. They're basically just ideas, right? They're not really specific to a specific things. Proper nouns are a very specific thing, a special name, a place or a thing. Sioux Lookout, Canada, Christmas, Mary, Monday, David. So these are very specific things that I can refer to, right? There's only one Sioux Lookout in the world. Collective nouns. Now these are nouns that give a name to a group of things. So a band, an organization, a team, a group, a bunch, a class. So, An organization could be WASA. A team could be my favorite team, the Montreal Canadiens. A class could be this class, PLAR English. And in those cases, we would always capitalize them, and we'll go with that into a second here. Okay, abstract nouns are things that exist in our mind, but we can't see them or touch them. So here we have emotions like hope and love and despair and sadness, anger, and then we have things that are like ideas like beauty or kindness. You can't. You could see someone doing something kind, or you could see something that's beautiful, but it's abstract in the sense that it's not really specific. You can't really hold beauty in your hand. You can't pull greed off the shelf. You can't you can't put hope. You can't hold on to it or see what it feels like, but you know what it is. It's an idea, but it's still a noun. So sometimes verbs ending in ing are used as nouns. Okay, so usually ing is put at the end of a verb. Swimming, playing hockey, playing music, but sometimes running is a thing. Running is something you can do. I like eating. So eating is like an idea. But if I said, I am eating right now, eating would be a verb. But in the sentence, I like eating, eating is an idea or a thing. Or I am good at fishing. So fishing is an idea. It's a thing in the world that you know about. But if I said, I am fishing right now, or I am going to go fishing tonight, that's a verb. But if I say I'm good at fishing, I'm talking about the idea of fishing, not actually fishing, not actually doing it. So with our support question, I won't do this whole thing, but just briefly. So a lot of people tell me that we must forget the past and instead look to the future. So in this case, people tell me that we must forget the past and instead look to the future. Now, me and we, those are pronouns, right? So those are special kind of nouns, but they're still nouns, right? So people, me, we, past, future. So these are the nouns in our sentence. So they're going to be things. And one really important thing to keep in mind is that every word in a sentence is going to be one of the parts of speech. So A is an article. A lot of people tell me that we must forget the past and instead look to the future. Every one of those words is going to be identified as a part of speech. And some of them are going to be easy to recognize than others. But right in support question 1, we're just looking for things like dreams and ideals and realities and world and what else do we have? Here we go. Here's a great example. So some people sometimes say to me that I am dreaming. That's a verb. But what is wrong with dreaming? That's a noun. Right? So this is the act of dreaming, and this right here is the idea of dreaming, right? So I think we'll just move on to one more of these support questions. And tomorrow we're gonna finish off these support questions and really delve into the key questions, but I'm just realizing how fast time can fly by when I'm teaching this course. So I can't believe it's already 5 to 7. So let's take a further look at nouns. Consider the following examples. Now, nouns can either be one thing or they can be more than one thing. So if they're singular, there's only one of them. If there is more than one of them, then it's plural. And English is notorious for having many different rules around this thing. So, sock, I can have one sock, I have two socks, one shirt, two shirts, one button, two buttons, one shoe, two shoes. And there are some rules to help us remember these things. Like if a noun ends in S, CH, or SH, we usually add the ES. And that's because it's awkward to say, it's awkward to, when it ends in an S, it just looks better if you add an E, because kisses would be KISSS. It would just be, it makes it easier to say. So dish, we add the ES, dishes. Speech becomes speeches. Brush becomes brushes. So a lot of these rules, you just have to, most of the time you can follow the rule. Of course, English, there's going to be exceptions to that rule, but if a word ends in a Y, we usually remove that Y and we add the IES. So activity becomes activities. Wife becomes wives. If a word ends in an F or an FE, we remove the F or the FE, add a VES. One of the, an interesting variation of that rule would be, I mentioned that I love the Montreal Canadiens, and their arch rivals are the Maple Leafs, right? So that's how you write the Maple Leafs. But if I rake leaves, it's going to be like this, leaves. Rake leaves, right? That's going to be the plural of leaf. So there are exceptions to this rule, but for the most part, like rabbits, I would just add an S. That one's easy. Radios, radios. Churches, this is going to be leaves. This is going to be children. This one's going to be enemies. So so nouns, depending on how many we have, it depends on how we talk about it. Yeah, English, one of the main reasons that English is so hard to understand. English is great if you're born into it, but people who aren't born into English, who have to learn it as a second language, get really upset because there's so many rules to understand. And English is one of the hardest, if not the hardest, language to learn and to master, because it has so many rules, and the rules like to break themselves. And English has taken from all other languages around the world. Like a lot of English has French words in it. We have a lot of German words. We have Japanese words. We have Finnish words. So I think an example that comes to mind, especially this part of the year, is moose, right? So, and moose is, of course, an indigenous word. We say moose in English, but some people might spell like that and say moose. And in English, there's one moose or there's 20 moose. You don't say mooses or you don't say meese, but in Anishinaabe, you might say moozog, or to specify if there's more than one moose. So different languages around the world have different rules for dealing with plurals, dealing with with nouns, pronouns. Every language is different, and every language kind of reflects the people that speak it. And English is a very interesting language because it incorporates different languages and different rules, and it is hard to learn. And English is very hard to master, and I can't stress that enough. It's a very hard language to learn and to master, and the only way you do it is by repeating it over and over again, and by taking classes like this. And that's what I'm here to do, to get you through these courses, these lectures. So be patient, believe in yourself, know that you can get better, but you can only get better if you put the time in and read the course material and try it out, and review the course material. And I think the biggest takeaway from today is I really want you to focus on those parts of speech. So really understand what a noun is, what's a verb, what's an adjective, what's an adverb. Get a handle on those definitions. So if you know those definitions and you know them in and out and you can repeat them to someone, write them on a cheat sheet or write them into your phone or turn them into a song or whatever you have to do. But learn those parts of speech. That's the number one thing I want you to learn and to take away. And we will pick this up tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. And thanks for joining in, and we will see you then.